All righty. The meeting of the Aurora City Council for February 23rd, 2021 is hereby called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Yamas.
Here.
Alderman Garza.
Here.
Alderman Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman Donnell.
Here.
Alderman Franco.
Here.
Alderman Seville.
Here.
Alderman Hart Burns.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bug.
Here.
Alderman LaShay.
Here.
Alderman Jenkins.
Here.
Alderman O'Connor.
Here.
Mayor Irvin is present.
On June 26, 2020, the governor of Illinois issued a statewide disaster declaration related to the public health concerns. As head of this body, I've determined that an in-person meeting or a meeting otherwise conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act is neither practical nor prudent based on the disaster. This meeting will be conducted by internet teleconference without the physical presence of a quorum. Prior to the commencement of this meeting, all members of this body were verified that they can see and hear one another. I further find the physical presence of members of the public is not feasible at this meeting due to the disaster, and more specifically, the practical difficulties associated with accommodating the public in an accessible, hygienic location that allows for appropriate social distancing. Alternative arrangements have been made to allow the public to contemporaneously hear all discussions and roll call votes live on the city's official website, on Facebook, and via Zoom teleconference. Notice these arrangements have been given in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. The public may address this body consistent with the rules previously adopted and recorded and is adapted by mayoral order. I, Mayor Richard Irvin, am physically present at our regular meeting location as defined by Resolution R20-124. All votes shall be conducted by roll call, and a verbatim record of this meeting shall be made and maintained in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Hopefully, sometime this year, I won't have to be reading this, and we'll be all in a room together and back at City Council, just like you see on the picture before us. And let's all hope and pray and wish that happens at some point soon in the near future. Mr. Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
introduce those who are given the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation today, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Tonight, our healthcare hero, Iman Al-Ashur, is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation from Alderwoman Hart Burns as we conclude Black History Month and transition next week into Women's History Month. Iman?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
God, you are good, and your mercies endureth forever. You are so merciful in protecting us and our families daily. Even during this pandemic, you are still good. We thank you for allowing us to come together for another City Council meeting, oh God. And we ask that you be with us as we make decisions that would affect this city. We ask that you be with the men and women of our armed forces, those that are serving, those that are serving, the men and women of our police and fire, those that have served and those that are serving. We ask, oh God, that you bless us individually, then bless us collectively. For we are in need of thee, oh God. We ask that you do it. We ask it all in your name and the name of who we serve. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Mayor, tonight's and City Council, tonight's healthcare hero. We're so excited by way of Atlanta. She's joining us via Zoom. We watched Iman grow up here in the city of Aurora, attending Oswego East High School. She began her college career at Lindenwood University, where she majored in biology, and continued on to Chamberlain College of Nursing in St. Louis, Missouri, where she earned her BSN. She currently, as I said, is down in Atlanta, Georgia, working as a registered nurse in the emergency room at Emory University Hospital. Has really just immersed herself in as they balance COVID and so many other things happening in Atlanta. We're very proud of her. As the mayor said earlier, he knows her family and so many others as we watch. So Iman, tonight, we are honored and proud to present you the Mayor's Healthcare Hero Award. Honorably we present it to you, BSN RN, emergency room nurse at Emory University, for your stalwart efforts to provide professional, quality, and compassionate care to your patients, their families, and your community in Atlanta and Extension, your community here in Aurora. You're a hero in the truest sense because of your actions, reactions, and resilience. Thank you for your selfless service. Signed, the mayor. If we could all please give our healthcare hero of the week, our fifth one, here, Iman LaShore. We're so proud of you. Any words?
Thank you. It's an honor. I really appreciate all of the support way back home. So thank you guys.
Very proud. Mayor Irvin or any alderman?
Mr. Mayor, I'm very proud of Iman. To know her and to know the family, it gives you the strength that she has. And we know that family very well, knowing that she came from a good stock. So that's why she loves what she's doing. And I know she's the best ER nurse down there in Emory University Hospital there. And I'm just so proud of you to know how far you've come and that where you're at, what you're doing, and where you're going. Congratulations in receiving the Mayor's Healthcare Hero Award. Iman, you deserve that and many more coming your way.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Iman, let me just say that you make us proud. And I think you make us even prouder because, you know, your roots here in Aurora, you know, give us our strength. We are Aurora Strong, and you are spreading our strength here in Aurora throughout the rest of this country. So, you know, as you take, you know, everything you've learned and everything you're about from Aurora to Atlanta and any other place that you go in your career, you know, just think of home and know that you're always welcome back. We're always looking for you to come back whenever you get a chance. As I said, we are Aurora Strong, but you make us stronger by spreading Aurora love throughout our nation. So thank you very much for everything that you do in the healthcare field.
Thank you.
And thank you, Iman. We're very proud of you. And City Council, much like Julio Flores, who kicked off our year, she's a young millennial who we watched grow up here. Very proud to watch her continue to grow in her professional career. Iman, of course, the physical award will be on its way to you in Atlanta. We'll drop that in the mail. Thank you for everything. We look forward to seeing you when you come back home. All right, one more round of applause for our healthcare hero of the week, Iman LaShore, BSN RN. Very proud of her, what she's doing in the healthcare field. Thank you, Iman. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Mayor, just a quick update in City Council on a change reform initiative, highlighting two parts of the reform initiative, one, the Civilian Review Board and APD minority recruitment, two of the key parts of the change reform initiative. The update with the Civilian Review Board recommendations will be on the agenda next week at the RAP committee. Next Tuesday, we look forward to making the recommendations of the inaugural board for the Civilian Review Board. For minority recruitment, you know, the noble organization, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, the Northern Illinois chapter, many of our APD officers, you know, of course, are part of that chapter, have really been working the last couple months to look at minority recruitment, particularly African American recruitment. Mayor Irvin will be hosting a community conversation with members of Noble on Saturday at noon to talk about some of their plans and you really look at it from a perspective of a Black officer in blue and how they've navigated life this last year in particular, and how, you know, look forward to the future as they, you know, continue to build and grow stronger. So two parts of the change initiative as we continue to update and continue to move. And as the mayor's always said, you know, when you look at police and under the change reform initiative, that was phase one. You know, the other phases deal with different parts of our community, and we're watching that come into fruition over this last week. A newspaper article report really looked at some of our underserved communities in the vaccination process in Kane and DuPage counties, looking at our Black and Latino residents in particular, and the really low vaccination rates. And so under the change initiative, again, the community helping Aurora's necessary growth and empowerment. How do we empower? How do we step in to help? And the mayor really looking at Black leadership, Latino leadership, and we have a third piece that we'll talk about in just a second, but how do we help to fill that gap in working with our healthcare field? And so beginning with the Black community, and then we'll move then into the Latino community all in March on how do we put together initiatives and programs to help to make individuals aware, communities aware of the vaccine, why it's necessary, and to make the access much more equitable. And so you'll see information soon coming on different initiatives to look at that equity and inclusion from the Black perspective, from the Latino perspective, and from persons with disabilities perspective. And so when we roll into March, we look at 3 distinct programs that will work with the community, with our elected officials, with our healthcare industry and partners to make sure these vaccines are rolled out equitably. So stay tuned for that information. And Mayor, that concludes my report.
Kind sir. All right. Let's go on to public comment section of the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor.
Will you please read the preamble and rules of the public comment, please?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Who is the first speaker to offer public comment this evening, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Anthony Tassone.
Mr. Tassone, are you present on the line? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Thank you.
All right, sir, you have 3 minutes beginning now.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Anthony Tassone. I'm the founder of Green Key. We're a data science company based in Chicago. And the topic I'd like to discuss is your change reform initiative, or the police body camera initiative. First off, I applaud Aurora for the pre-authorization of funding for police body cameras. However, my objective tonight is to make you aware that putting body cameras on police officers alone is not enough. This data must be analyzed. The Major City Chiefs Association concluded that less than 0.1% of police body camera data is ever reviewed. There's simply too much data for a human being to review. I'd like to make you and your citizens aware, sir, that the technology exists to transcribe and analyze police body camera data. When we call private companies such as banking institutes, we've all heard your call is being recorded for quality assurance. Police cameras can be analyzed for quality assurance too. For example, technology exists to create respectfulness reports and reports on de-escalation tactics and their effectiveness. We're all aware of Illinois' Body Camera Act 50 ILCS 706 that's made its way through the House. This act requires that any cameras that contain flags be saved for 2 years. If a video doesn't contain a flag, it can be deleted after 90 days. We think this leaves too much up to the police department discretion. And so we've created an amendment to that bill in Illinois, sir, called the Automatic Analysis of Police Body-Worn Cameras to identify flags and improve officer training. We're reaching out to Mayor Irvin to meet with you directly and to describe the type of tools available to you, sir. I'm happy to report that our partner, Amazon, has agreed to donate software and infrastructure to do a free trial with the city of Aurora. It is our hope that you will be a leader in body camera analytics and join us in leveraging this new technology with other cities around Illinois and the country. I'm conceding the remaining 1 minute, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, do we have any additional speakers?
We do, Mr. Mayor. The next speaker is Ms. Nicole Mullins.
Ms. Mullins, can you hear me? Are you with us?
Yes,
All right, you have 3 minutes beginning now.
thank you. There are 3 of us signed up for public comment this evening as part of the Aurora Grassroots Alliance, and this is a newly formed alliance of local community organizers, activists, and organizations. The 3 of us will each be reading a section of a press release, which is our response to the city's recent media briefing on the uptick of crime. This statement was crafted by over a dozen community organizers and activists representing several local grassroots organizations, including Pro Bum Society, Aurora Rapid Response Team, the People's Coalition, Indivisible Aurora, Echo Development Center, Goldmine Leadership Foundation, Black and Brown Panthers, and a newly formed Change Indivisible Aurora. This statement hones in on the dehumanization of those of us who speak up to hold the city government and police department accountable. We have a right to speak our truth and have our voices heard. Over the last year, however, as a result of exercising that right, we have been labeled as divisive pushers of hate, keyboard warriors, and most recently, criminals. This is slanderous and is an irresponsible, reckless, and dangerous precedent being set by those in the highest seats of power in this city. This anti-activist rhetoric from our own police chief and mayor is not acceptable and should be condemned publicly by every single one of you on city council. The statement reads as follows. We, the Aurora Grassroots Alliance, condemn Mayor Richard Irvin and Police Chief Zeman's inflammatory remarks about local community activists during their February 3rd media briefing on the city's uptick in crime. Irvin opened the media briefing after reciting the names of those lost in the past year to gun violence by saying, "For those in Aurora who regularly stand up for what you believe is injustice, where are your voices now? Let our voices be clear. Unaddressed issues such as housing insecurity, food insecurity, insufficient youth services, and limitations to affordable mental health and medical services are contributors to crime and gang activity within communities. These are exactly the issues that grassroots organizations and activists in Aurora have been attempting to provide long-term solutions to. Many grassroots organizations in Aurora have been on the front lines for years, working tirelessly to provide resources and solutions to issues of crime, homelessness, food insecurity, and youth outreach. We believe the best way to resolve our community's crime issues is to address it at the root." Ed Ash will continue with the next part of this statement. Thank you.
Do we have any additional speakers, clerk?
We do, Mr. Mayor. The next speaker is Mr. Edward Ash.
Mr. Ash, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
You got 3 minutes starting now.
All right. We do not condone the rise in crime. We hope that justice is served for those individuals who lost their lives and the families who lost a loved one. We believe that Aurora Police Department's $77 million budget is abundantly resourced to achieve justice for those lost lives. Irvin annulled that his administration would be providing even more resources to the police department, already bloated budget. We do not believe that it is in our community's best interest to keep throwing money on a Band-Aid approach. Irvin and Zeman abused their public platform to take a retaliative aim at community activists and grassroots organizers who have been critical of the city and police departments over the last couple of years. Zeman went so far as to conclude that the activists who use certain terminology to describe police are not law-abiding citizens. The head of our city's police department spewed anti-activist theoretic, outrageously deduced that those individuals are criminals, and then wonders why there is mistrust of the police between the community and also the community activists. Thank you, and I'll give my time away.
Are there any additional speakers, clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The final speaker is Ms. Erica Garcia.
Ms. Garcia, can you hear my voice?
Hi,
Start.
yes.
You have 3 minutes to speak starting
hello?
now.
Okay, yes. My name is Erica Garcia, and I will be finishing off our press release. Mayor Irvin and Chief Zeman have had numerous opportunities over the years to address issues of police misconduct, provide that wraparound services that meet Black and Brown community members' needs, and have productive conversations with grassroots organizers that could have resulted in meaningful reform for our communities. Instead, we find ourselves left on the sidelines looking at the performative actions enacted and eluded by elected officials who at best see their own charity as sweeping reform. However, they still remain disconnected with the realities of our Black and Brown community members face. We get vilified for the criminalization of our Black and Brown youth, yet they remain silent when we mobilize for change. The very individuals meant to serve us instead manipulate the media, hold themselves in high esteem, and co-opt our demands in the name of One Aurora. While our most vulnerable question remains, what will tomorrow bring? We call on Mayor Irvin and Chief Zeman to stop wasting time by blaming and bullying private residents and grassroots activists. The city needs to examine ways to reallocate funding to address the root cause of the rise in crime, invest in our youth and our community rather than throwing even more money at the Aurora Police Department and expecting solutions from that as a reactive form of policing. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do you have any additional speakers?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's go on to the next section of the agenda. Mayoral appointments. Madam Clerk, can you read the first item under mayoral appointments?
21-0059, a resolution appointing Valencia Guidron to Sustainable Aurora, the Mayor's Sustainable Aurora Advisory Board.
Is there a motion to approve? There's been a motion by Alderman Jenkins,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Garza. Are there any questions or discussions? There being no questions or discussions on this item, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Yamas,
Yes.
Alderman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco,
Yes.
Alderman Seville,
Yes.
Alderman Hart Burns,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman Lache,
Yes.
Alderman Jenkins,
Yes.
Alderman O'Connor,
Yes.
12-0.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Is Miss Valencia Guidron on with this evening? I do see you on. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Mayor. How are you, Mr. Mayor Irvin?
Oh, very, 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 very good. Hanging in there. Well, thank you very much for your willingness to serve the city of Aurora. And I just want
Absolutely.
to make sure that we all give you a round of applause. Everybody
Thank
give a round of
you.
applause
Appreciate
for your
it.
willingness to step up and help our community.
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything you'd like to say, ma'am?
Oh, no, I appreciate you giving me the option to come in and give my advice and support for City of Aurora. I've been a resident over like 12 years, and I want to bring to the table and obtain more knowledge. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank
We look forward to your participation. Thank you very much
Okay.
for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on this evening. Madam Clerk, will you
Thank
call the next item under mayoral appointments?
21-0079, a resolution appointing Nafisa Hussain to the Aurora Human Relations Commission.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Alderman Hartburn, seconded by Alderman Garza. Are there any question or discussion regarding this resolution? There being none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Yamas,
Yes.
Alderman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco,
Yes.
Alderman Seville,
Yes.
Alderman Hart Burns,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman Lache,
Yes.
Alderman Jenkins,
Yes.
Alderman O'Connor,
Yes.
12-0.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Do we have Nafisa Hussain on with us this evening? Nafisa Hussain? Mr. Anderson, do we have Nafisa Hussain on with us? Do you know?
I can't tell, Mayor. There are two phone numbers that are not attached anywhere.
All right. Well, we don't have anybody speaking up. So we'll just want to thank Nafisa for agreeing to participate and help the city in our Aurora Human Relations Commission. We look forward to your participation. And thank you very much for your service. All right. Well, let's go on to the next section. Next, we hear both the consent agenda and the direct to consent agenda together in full. The clerk now please read both agendas in full.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can you see the consent agenda on your screen?
I can.
All right. 21-0026, a resolution authorizing approval to enter into a lease agreement in the not to exceed amount of $46,500 with Nadler Golf Car Sales Incorporated for the use of 61 GPS equipped golf carts. 21-0042, a resolution approving the purchase and installation of 3 gear washers with plumbing from Washburn Machinery Incorporated and Hobson Plumbing for the Aurora Fire Department. 21-0077, a resolution to award the contract for the Sexton Street sanitary sewer improvements to Holiday Sewer and Water Construction Incorporated in the amount of $365,432.10. 21-0096, a resolution authorizing the execution of a First Amendment to the redevelopment agreement previously entered into between the City of Aurora and JH Real Estate Partners, LLC. 21-0102, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, February 9, 2021 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions For motions to remove items from either direct to consent agenda or the consent agenda? There being no motions to remove, is there a motion? And there's been a motion and a second to approve. And there being no further questions, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Yamas,
Yes.
Alderman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Mazarakos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco,
Yes.
Alderman Seville,
Yes.
Alderman Hart Burns,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman LaShay,
Yes.
Alderman Jenkins,
Yes.
Alderman O'Connor,
Yes.
12-0.
Motion carries. The consent agenda and the direct to consent agenda are both approved. There appears to be no unfinished business for us to consider. There are no items under new business for us to consider. I will go on to the treasurer's report. I acknowledge receipt of the January 2021 treasurer report. Are there any questions or discussions on the treasurer's report? There being none, are there any additional reports to be given in conjunction with the treasurer's report, Mr. Lyons? I'm sorry, Alderman Loftus, did you have something?
I had a question. On the report, Marty, are you going to go through your slides or not?
Well, yeah, that's what I just called on Mr. Lyons to give an initial report. So do you have a question on what he's about to go over? All right,
No,
so,
go ahead.
So Marty, why don't you go over it first and then we'll entertain Alderman Loftus' questions.
May I share my screen, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely, sir.
Is everyone looking at the full screen instead of the one with two screens on it?
Full screen.
Full screen, sir.
Thank you. Our first slide's a little different than we have had in the past. Our information reflects the potential for new stimulus funding. Interestingly enough, we've received information from multiple sources.
Hold on one second. Alderman Garza, you're not on mute.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. It's all right.
All the time.
She was yelling at her cat. Go ahead, Marty.
My attention, though, I will say, but all these sources are all reading off of the same sheet, which is great to see coming out of the federal government. We'll wait and see, but based on this information, the allocation could be up to $35 million. And we did not get this kind of detail where it went from the largest all the way down to individual municipalities and also the state, and then also language that says in the stimulus that states may not impose any further restrictions. So we don't have all of the detail on what's eligible, but one of the things that is eligible is lost revenue, which was not eligible in the past. We don't know whether there'll be restrictions on the time. Will it be from March of 2020 all the way through to the present for lost revenues? So we'll wait on those. But I did do an analysis on that subject that if it was for the 2020 year, we could be looking at $21 million excluding the CARES Act funding when we compare our budget to our actual amounts, and $15 million when we compare our 2019 actual to our 2020 actual. This is per the treasurer's report, and we will account for further money on an accrual basis, basically what would go in our final audit. I expect this number to go down a little bit as we finalize potentially some revenues, but for the most part, we will compare a 19 number to a 20 number on the same basis. So we'll do a wait and see. Other funds could be up to 10 million, and I bring that up because we have 3.6 million from the gaming tax, 1.3 million or more from water fund. That's just from our unpaid water bills that we are aware of. So we will provide that information as it comes forward once we know the time frame for this. The other part of this will be what will be allowed for expenses. We only put a small portion of our public safety expenses in for the first $11 million. depending on on what is allowed for eligible expenses. If it were the same definition, we would be able to meet the 35 million because we would be using 5 or 6 months worth of public safety expenses, which would easily, along with the revenues, get us all the way up to 35 million. So then basically talking about how we're moving forward this year, sales tax, remember we closed up in November. So the November sales taxes reported in February, I just got those numbers, we're down 10%. And that's compared to the February number before we closed up in 2020. So it's still a good number. Income tax is an absolute mystery. We are still up above the prior year on income tax. So we're 15% up. We anticipate this to go down, but we've gotten no inclination from either the Illinois Municipal League or the state of Illinois Department of Revenue as to when this will happen. But for practically speaking, we know it must happen with all of the unemployment from March until through the end of December 2020. The casino was closed during November, so we had no revenues there. And but again, our city operating fund reserve, the general fund, is holding strong. This is a period from now all the way through May when we don't get property taxes that our reserves drop down, but we are still doing well. We're $11 million higher than last year in cash. So that's still a stable sign. This is our last year's report. The green and the blue line is all last year. And then the 2 dots represent where we sit for cash and fund balance in January of 2021. So again, 10.75 million above the prior year. Positive indicators, 10% down is still much better than we had thought when we went into COVID. We haven't had any communications from the county about any programs to provide relief. In this case, no news would be good news on our revenues. Our residents and businesses might feel a little bit differently about that. So we will wait and see whether or not there's going to be a push towards any kind of deferral of property taxes that might be tied in with any changes at the federal level for rent relief and foreclosure relief. Vaccinations are in process, and that second stimulus I've talked about. So reasons for caution, again, the overdue rents and foreclosure issues is still yet to be settled. We're not too consistent. Some counties want to extend, other counties said, no, we can't change who can have the vaccine yet because nothing's available. Things are improving. It's just not all that consistent yet. One thing of concern long-term is our 2021, if economic stability would still be predicated a lot on a stimulus, and how much of our stability long-term is based on true economic underlying indicators is yet to be seen. The stock market thinks it's fine. We have a lot. I've been through several economic forecasts that show modest inflation and modest interest rate growth, and no one's ready to predict off the cliff analysis. So for 2021, and given the current stimulus, we certainly don't have any prediction for that either. So we'll keep on going after the grants that we see. No new debt issuance for operating purposes, obviously. We will continue to work on the public safety and public works replacement of staff, but everyone will now live within their current budget. Non-public safety had a 5% decrement that's included, so they'll just live within that decrement. And we don't need to have a proactive holding of the line. Our current regular systems will do that for us. The CIP, as you can see, we're moving forward. I talked with Alderman O'Connor. Finance has a $2.8 million roadway program on the agenda for this coming Thursday. So we are moving forward with our capital programs. And we are working on the remediation programs. I just reviewed the rebate program. I have a letter in hand. I have the list of businesses that are available. We're going to wait until or rather eligible. We're going to wait until next week before we send out the food and beverage rebate program. If we send it out too soon, businesses could be likely to consider the February reporting month as the start. We really don't want that because they may not get as big a bang for the buck, if you will. So we think that the March, April, May months are the months to use, and that's what our analysis is. So all the letters will go out next week or first week in March, telling them that the amount that they would remit during April, they don't have to remit. So April, May, and June, they won't have to remit. I'll let if the clerk wants to chime in, we're already in process doing the licensing for liquor licenses. And lastly, the SURF fund, we were at 99 as of today, applicants. And that's my report.
All right, Marty, if you don't mind, can we go back to the 35 million that you said we could potentially be eligible for? Recognizing that the CARES Act money that we got from the county, we were even eligible for more from pretty much both counties, but dealing with the counties, they determined in their interpretation of how the CARES Act was going to be expended, how much that they're willing to give Aurora, which was lower than we expected and lower than we qualified for. In this particular case, this 35 million is going to be coming straight from the federal government. Is that correct?
Yes, but Mayor,
up to 35 million.
And I should have tempered my. I was trying to get through the slides, but our original first population number from CARES could have been as high as 70 million. But after everybody got their fingers into the mix, it went all the way down to 11 million. I don't think the same level of decrement will happen, but I think it would be unrealistic to think that we are going to just get a check written to us for 35 million. I was surprised when the counties got effectively that amount and were told to distribute it. So it's possible we should just wait and see, and we're in a good financial position to do just that for the next 2 to 3 months.
Now, does this eligibility that you talk about for the up to $35 million include the potential of the state rating our LGDF fund?
I don't think that's considered, because that would not be for us. It would be an indirect pandemic related loss of revenue. That would not, for us, that would be due to state fiat in changing it, because from the analysis that the governor's office has given, they are doing that right now. The budget says we are going to hold the LGDF constant when the new closure of corporate income tax loopholes would have actually given us an increase. So I hope that answers the question.
It does.
Thank you.
Alderman Lofty.
Yes, thank you. Marty, on the same slide, you've got up where it says the lost revenues in the general fund. I'm just trying to clarify. It says 21.5 million budget to actual. So did we lose 32.5 million, or did we only lose 10 million because of the CARES money?
The second, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, the latter. So because of CARES, we only lost the 11.
Okay, I'm using the 19 numbers. We were down 15 is what you're saying, right?
But if we use the same logic, then we have only been down 4 million.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Can you do me a favor, Mr. Lyons, and close out of that just so I can see the other aldermen, see if anyone has any questions. Any other questions from the alderman? All right, with no questions on that, there doesn't need to be any approval. That was just a presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Lyons, for that presentation. Looking forward to hopefully getting something close to 35 million from the federal government, something to help plug that gap in our revenue loss from COVID. All right, so let's go on to the bills. Is there a motion to approve and pay the bills listed on the agenda?
So moved.
There's been a motion by Alderman Hartburns, seconded by Alderman Jenkins. Are there any questions or discussions on the bills? There being none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Yamas,
Yes.
Alderman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco,
Yes.
Alderman Seville,
Yes.
Alderman Hartburns,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman Lopshi,
Yes.
Alderman Jenkins,
Yes.
Alderman O'Connor,
Yes.
12-0.
Motion carries. The bills are approved. There is no need for a closed session this evening.
Move your adjourn.
I will take a motion to adjourn from Alderman Hartburns, second by Alderman Garza. Will the clerk please read the, call the roll?
Alderman Yamas,
Yes.
Alderman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco,
Yes.
Alderman Seville,
Yes.
Alderman Hartburns,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman Lopshi,
Yes.
Alderman Jenkins,
Yes.
Alderman O'Connor,
Yes.
12-0.
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. This was a quick one this evening. We got done quick. So I will see you guys all next week at Committee of the Whole. Have a good night.
Good night.